Spring is in the air at Global Voice Broadcasting. Fresh new shows are hitting the airwaves every day. Shows about all the things that matter to you in your life. Music, fashion, celebs, and more. It's all here, and it's getting better every day. Only at Global Voice Broadcasting. Welcome to the world of Cabarabia, the world where Broadway, jazz, comedy, and pop share the spotlight, and a 2-drink minimum. With your host, producer, director Clifford Bell, keeping the world safe for live performances in intimate settings on Global Voice Broadcasting.
And welcome back. Welcome to Cabarabia on Global Voice Broadcasting, my weekly rumination on all things relevant to the nightclub experience. And I'm so excited for the show we have for you today. I have a very special guest in the studio with me today. I'd like to introduce you to Stacy Sullivan. Hello, Stacy.
Hello, darling.
I usually prepare within an inch of my life, and I try to think of all the questions I'm going to ask somebody, but the opportunity to have Stacy came up kind of suddenly, and we have been peripheral friends for quite a long time. We've known each other for many, many years, a little bit from a distance, but many, many, many years. And Stacy is enjoying just a really, really amazing success right now at this point in her life. And so she's living in New York, and I, of course, here am in California. And when I knew that she was going to make a trip to California, I begged her to come and join me here
glad you called.
At the Global Voice Broadcasting, because I've been so eager to talk to you. I've just been eager to talk to you as a person, to follow your evolution. You know, Stacy, in many, many ways, has a quintessential story of a young woman. As you could tell, she's quite stunningly beautiful. I remember the first time I met you, I just thought, wow, that girl's so pretty. I did. Oh, my God, I thought you were so pretty. And we were just reminiscing. I remember when I'm pretty sure it might have been the first time I met you was at Michael Orland's house. You were there rehearsing an act with Bruce Kimmel directing it and Michael playing, and Michael and I worked together a lot in the past, and we were crossing over, and I thought, that girl's so pretty.
I can't believe that. That is so kind. Thank you.
And so I've known Stacy to be one of these girls, done a lot of shows, a lot of nightclub acts, a lot of CDs, I've film and TV thing. I think I wrote you in the middle of the night once because I was watching some cheesy TV movie that you had a nice little bit on. I can't remember. It was like a courtroom scene or a police drama or something, but you had a real hefty little something had happened to you. And I'm like, check out the midnight show. Anyway, so, but the reason what I've asked Stacy to come talk about today is that she has evolved to a place where she has done what is the dream for so many cabaret performers, so many concert performers. She's really found a perfect vehicle. I can think of few things that are, it's a great commercial concept that general audiences are interested in, but it absolutely uniquely suits you like a glove. You could not wear it more beautifully. And she's doing a tribute to Peggy Lee. Gabe, I'd like you to show some pictures here. We got that artwork there. That's your CD cover and whatever other artwork you might use.
Robert Richards.
Yes, Gabe. There's you in action, rocking out.
The Boston Court Theater in Pasadena.
Nice. Gabe, let's just run some of these. Beautiful.
That's at the Iridium.
And that's John Weber at the piano, I believe, yeah. And this is the Carlisle. Tell me a little bit about you. I believe, were the first person to introduce the late night series.
It's me and Bobby Short.
Yeah.
I was when I was creating the show. I don't know if I've told you this story. Sidney Meyer. Do you know Sidney?
I don't.
Sidney runs Don't Tell Mama in New York City, and he's been there for 25, 30 years, and he's a wonderful performer, but just one of those...
Gabe, you can come back to us now, okay? Go ahead.
One of those angels that walks the earth, kind of like Rick Starr.
Yes.
He's just a great human, and he's pure. And I did a benefit one night in New York City while I was still raising my kids and living in Los Angeles. And Sidney came up to me and he said, "Stacy, you you have to do a Peggy Lee show. And I didn't know Sidney. I was a fan, and I'd been watching him for years, and he's just very honest, very truthful man. And when he said that to me, I had never considered, the thought had never come into my mind. I remembered Peggy Lee as the woman in the Cleopatra wig and the dark glasses.
Right.
She really wasn't on my radar.
Right.
But when Sidney said that, I said, well, there must be something to it. So I started researching her work, her life, and I was mesmerized.
Gabe, show us this last picture. This is a current ad that you're using for a series of dates you're doing at the Metropolitan Room, of which there are still 2 to come. Friday, March 28th and Saturday, April 26th. Once again, a stunning picture.
Thank you.
With that beautiful quotation from Clive Davis of the London Times, a commanding, willowy presence, Sullivan captures that rare combination of vulnerability and worldliness.
Isn't that nice?
Very nice.
It's my favorite quote.
And very accurate. I
Thank
have
you.
seen the show, and you know, it's a tricky thing. You know,
Yeah.
people that do tribute shows to a specific artist, because it's a blessing and a curse to bear any resemblance whatsoever.
Right,
And
right.
it's a very tricky line to walk, to evoke, but not to mimic. And there's something about, you know, you just have some magic sprinkled in your show. I don't mean to be a flatterer. I'm actually a very critical person. But as a cabaret professional and as a director and as somebody who does scrutinize and wonder, like, why is that working? There is a magic to it that the body of material and the ghost of who she was mixed with who you are makes its own certain little alchemy that brings her memory to a certain light, but also serves you so beautifully. You wear it so beautifully.
Thank you so much. I started researching her life, and I promise you, this is the absolute truth. I typed in her name, and Wikipedia came up. And the very first line on Wikipedia was, Peggy Lee was the 7th of 8 children.
Oh, wow.
And it may not even be true. I mean, a lot of that stuff, but
we know.
But I'm the 7th of 8 children.
Right.
And it was kind of like, you need to pay attention here, because there's something here. And the similarities that I found were similarities that freed me from her. And one of the things was Peggy loved to mess with songs. She took, Lover, this Rogers and Hart song. It was a very virginal fantasy. Hello, when I'm near you.
Right.
Jeanette
right.
MacDonald. And she took it and she did her Peggy Lee thing on it. And she changed the time signature. And she just took it into this kind of orgasmic reality. It was just, and when I started seeing the things that she had done with her music, and it wasn't someone telling her what to do. She was
Right.
very much her own woman.
Right.
It's almost like she freed me to do what I love to do, which is mess with songs. So even the songs in the show that are Peggy's, we mess with them, and we don't do them the way she did them.
Right.
Because I don't think she would have wanted me to.
Right.
I think she said, really, if you want to do a tribute to me, be yourself.
Right.
Because that's what she did. And there's only one Peggy Lee.
And that's what's nice about it, too, because, the truth is, at this day and age where media is so available on our telephones, if people want to hear the Peggy Lee Experience, they'll go listen to Peggy Lee. It's just there.
No one did it better.
But what you bring is such a vivid, vibrant, entertaining, poignant thing. I loved your show.
Thank you.
I loved your performance in
Thank
your
you.
show.
She had an extraordinary life.
Yeah.
She really, to be famous for over 6 decades
Right.
is something that very few people on this earth have ever experienced. And she was one of the very first.
Right.
So she became famous when she was 20 with Benny Goodman. And then this life evolved. And you're a performer, and that feeling of being on stage and being able to tell stories and sing is unlike anything you'll ever come close to in life.
Right.
And so she loved it. It was who she was as a little girl in North Dakota. And to see that popularity wane and the opportunities leave her is something we've all experienced if we're of a certain amount of years. And to be able to play that and to be able to know what that feels like, to want the opportunities and maybe not have. I've never experienced fame, but to know what it's like to want to sing to want to perform and not be able to.
You know, she's also been distinctively interesting to me, and you don't go here with it at all, but because in her later years, when she was actually somewhat very physically compromised, they would even just roll her out in a wheelchair and she could still give devastating performances because of what she did as a musician. Even, you know, I've always been so, you know,
well, she was a wonderful
moved by that.
actress.
Yeah.
And I always considered myself an actress.
Mm-hmm.
Being from the family I'm from,
Mm-hmm.
all of these singers, I really did not want to go into music.
Uh-huh.
And my opportunities came as a singer. I got my degree in music, and musical theater, operetta was where I found my opportunities to perform.
Right.
But really I considered myself an actress, and I wanted to be an actor. And it's really interesting because Peggy, you watch the videos of her from the 30s, 40s and 50s and the television shows and Pete Kelly's Blues.
Oh, I love it.
She was a wonderful
I
actress.
do Pete Kelly Blues. Look at that doll.
She was a great actress, and so it's a lot of fun to play that show.
You know, Stacy refers to the family she's from. We'll talk about that later on in the broadcast. Right now, I want to just talk a little bit more about the Peggy Show. That, you know, there's so much there. And for my listeners, you know, I believe that the people that might be attracted to watch the Cabarabia show, to hear about the nightclub world, I think you're such a specific example of somebody who's been around, who's tried a lot of things, who's made several albums, who's been in lots of different flavors, who is found. You found the thing, you found the ticket, you found a vehicle that's exactly serves you right, you know, serves you up well. And I think that's an interesting story to tell.
I got very lucky. Very early on in the show, Peggy's Family, her granddaughter who runs the Peggy Lee Foundation, the LLC, saw the show in Pasadena, and she saw something in the show with John Weber and Steve Doyle that she loved, that we weren't trying to imitate her grandmother.
Right.
And they became very supportive, and I think one of the reasons I'm still doing the show, and the reason the show grew the way it did, was because the family brought us to North Dakota.
Which ain't nothing.
To open the Peggy Lee Museum.
Yeah,
I mean,
hello. Talk about some support.
Well, it's the support, but I understood Peggy so much better getting to know her grandchildren and to see where she was from. The museum is actually in one of the train stations where she grew up. And we were really lucky to get that support early on, to give us the momentum to keep doing it, because it may have been just a one-off. You know, it may have been a show that I just dabbled in and let go, as I've done with so many styles. And
But I'm going to read kind of a lengthy review, but in the world of cabaret, when you want to make a splash and be known by the important people, it requires a review by Stephen Holden. Stephen Holden of the New York Times. It is a very hard get. It's what most people aspire to. It's not easy to get. He is the discerning voice of the New York Cafe Society. And the first time I've ever put my spectacles on the show, and I'm going to put them on to read this. Sorting out the contradictions of Lee's life and career, Stacy Sullivan's It's a Good Day, a tribute to Miss Peggy Lee, paints an empathetic, melancholy portrait. Instead of imitating Lee, Ms. Sullivan takes on her body language and style while searching for her essence. Miss Sullivan, who can swing, peers under the seductive artifice of a woman increasingly trapped within the image she had struggled to create, and makes you feel the howling loneliness of a star in a gilded cocoon. So, there's your New York Times for you.
Waited a long time for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the review, it goes on to be a love letter. I mean, and very deservedly so. And let's see, there is a quotation. I'm just going to spend 2 seconds reading this. This is
Stephen Holden can write, can't he?
Yes.
I read that. The review I thought was a work of art in its own right. It was so beautifully written.
I want to catch the one from the... Oh, I enjoyed every minute of Stacy Sullivan's tribute to my grandmother, Peggy Lee. I know she would be thrilled as I am that Stacy is introducing her music to new audiences, as well as giving Peggy's fans a chance to once again hear these great songs. Holly Foster Wells. That's so incredibly. That's a real feather in your cap to have their support and endorsement.
It means the world to me. It means so much because they were very, very close to their grandmother. Holly traveled with her grandmother from the time she was 6 years old. She went to Japan and she did New York. She did the Peg Run. So she knew her. And so I felt like I got to know another part of Peggy Lee by knowing her grandchildren. I think that was another piece of the puzzle that helped contribute to what we have now with the show.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned our man Steve Doyle, my good friend. I love Steve Doyle on bass.
He's so great.
We do Todd Murray's show, Croon, with Steve.
You've been all over.
Yes,
with that.
we've been very successful with that. Todd is the landlord here at the Global Voice Broadcasting, but also a wonderful performer. And everything I ever do in New York, I try to get Steve. I love him so much.
Wonderful musician.
And tell me about John Weber. How did you hook up with him, and what's his role?
John Weber was floating around New York. He was just a brilliant jazz musician, one of the greats, I think, maybe of all time. Great jazz pianist. He just took over from Marianne McPartland on piano jazz on NPR. And he was handpicked by Marianne McPartland. That tells you a little bit about John Weber. But my sister was working with him, and we kind of have a love affair. I love the man. I care about him so deeply, and he can do musically with my idea. I come up with certain ideas that I will throw at him, and he immediately picks up on what I need and what I'm asking for, and he will take an idea and turn it into something that's completely original. So my ideas may be derivative of something I've heard to mix it with something completely different. But John will put them together in a way that is new.
Well, he's a gorgeous player.
He's amazing. And a great arranger.
Yes, I saw you here at Vitello's.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a crazy night that was.
That was a fun night. Let's share your demo. You have a little demo of the Peggy Show.
Oh, great.
Put together here. So let's show the folks that.
Another dance by a credit stare. Brenda's eyes, you Brenda's hair. And I think to tell you's only fair. I love being here with you. But I wish that he were double. He's a tramp. He's a rover, and there's nothing more to say. If he's a tramp, he's a good one, and I wish that he would travel my way. Sparkles, spangles, my heart will sing, sailing up, wearing baubles, bangles and beads. So sigh to me, a lie to me, you really know how. It's gonna hurt tomorrow, but it feels so good now. You're the lover I have waited for, the maid that fate had me created for, and every time your lips meet mine, darling, down and down I go, round and round I go in a spin, loving the spin I'm in, loving that old black magic called love. Breezes when you want to breeze, and blessings always when you sneeze, to come and go the way you please. Dangers on your angels on your pillow.
Beautiful, beautiful.
That was at the Iridium Jazz Club.
Very, very nice. See, there's a magic to it. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Let's travel back a little bit. I wanna. You've made an album of that.
Yes.
That is on CD, available on CD. But you've also done 5 albums, right?
I have.
The Peggy Lee being the 5th.
Yes.
And all of your albums have been on LML Music,
Yep.
right? With our mutual friend
My
Lee.
friend Lee Lessick.
Yes, our mutual friend Lee. And Lee also is a host here at the Global Voice Broadcasting. He has LML Presents. And I just wanted to talk about your evolution as a recording artist. So let's start, Gabe, with At the Beginning, appropriately titled. Anything you want to say about that?
Well, I was raising kids. I have 2 children, and one of the things I could do while they were little was go to the studio. I would drop them off at school and head to the studio.
Right.
And I learned a lot from recording.
Right.
I was a theater person, and I had never recorded before, so I just produced my own album and just started learning.
Right.
It was a great growth experience.
And then the second was West on 40th?
Yes, 40.
West on 40?
Yes.
Right, and that's Highway 40, right? Isn't that what it
Interstate
refers to?
40. That was
Interstate 40.
that was my flight, my freedom flight from Oklahoma to Los Angeles when I was 22. I came out to Los Angeles and found my music, my life.
And number 3, It's a Small Town.
Actually, the third one was my Christmas album. But we can talk about this one.
Well, okay.
It's a Small Town is Lou Spence. Our friend
really?
Lou Spence wrote a song called It's a Small Town. And before he passed, he wrote Nice and Easy and Sleep Warm.
And A Dry Night and a Wet Night and a Dry Martini. Did you sing that?
No, I haven't yet.
I love
It's a
that.
great title, though. But Lou helped produce that album, and It's a Small Town is his.
Oh, nice.
It's his song. That was my fusing West on 40 and It's a Small Town were my attempt at bringing in the country western flavor.
Remember, there was a period of time when Michael Feinstein took over the Cinegrill. They closed the original Cinegrill, built a whole new room downstairs. His management ran it for a while, and then
Alan Sorokoff.
Alan Svirnoff.
Yes.
They left the Roosevelt and hired me. Alan Svirnoff actually hired me.
Really?
Yes, and I'll tell you, this is the most self-promoting thing I'll ever do on my show. Alan Svirnoff said to me, he said, I've talked to everybody in Los Angeles that thinks they know about the nightclub world, and I think you know the most. Wow. And coming from him, I mean, he was a genius.
He was awesome.
He was Rosemary Clooney's long before, for years and years.
Yes,
anyway,
yes.
So I took it over for a while, and in the crossover, we had you booked. You had been doing your country cabaret with Andrea.
She directed that.
Yeah.
My Romance, a country cabaret.
Right.
And actually, It's a Small Town was the result of that show.
Oh,
a lot of
okay.
that show is in It's a Small Town.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and then now let's go on to the Christmas. There's your Christmas CD.
And the liner notes have my favorite quote. It's Stephen Schwartz.
Oh, yes, but I don't know that I have it handy. Do you know what he said?
Steve is on Lee Lessick's label.
Oh, it's on one of the other demos I'm going to show.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we'll see it there.
I love this album. It's Cold Enough to Snow is a song that Stephen wrote with Alan, right?
I don't know for sure.
Gosh, I should know that. But I love this song. It was a great song.
And then your current CD, the one accompanying the Peggy Lee Show, It's a Good Day, tribute to Miss Peggy Lee.
It was funny because I'd done 4 albums, and I'd been trying to get them out there. I'd hired Lenny Triola. Some wonderful people, and just nothing hit. I was learning so much from those albums, and then this Peggy Lee. I worked so hard on the previous albums, but the Peggy Lee, we did it in 2 days. I just wanted to get that album out there for North Dakota.
Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk. When the image clicks, it's all about when the image clicks.
And then Jonathan Schwartz picked it up for his show in New York. And then Charlie Pignon, the manager of the Frank Sinatra estate, saw our show in London, and it's on XM radio now.
Yeah.
The Seriously Sinatra, it's on there, and it was strange though to have that many albums, and then this one just.
Now, are you coming back to LA with it?
I'd like to. I need to talk to you about that.
All right.
I'm looking for a room. We're doing our new show at the Boston Court Theater in Pasadena.
When is that?
That's May 3rd. And then we're doing North Coast Repertory Theater in La Jolla.
What's your new show? Can you talk about that?
The new show, I can say that it's the most sophisticated show I've ever done musically. John and I are creating some arrangements that are kind of blowing my mind.
Good.
It's heavy, going more in the jazz. We're bringing in some Miles Davis themes and Duke Ellington, and I love chromaticism. I'm a big fan. We're bringing a lot of that into it, and it's a show about change.
You know, I'm glad you said sophisticated, because I wanted to make a point after we watched your demo. Promo is a better way to say it. Is one of the reasons why I am so enthusiastic about your show is that as a cabaret producer, as a cabaret director, it's very, very difficult. People don't understand how difficult it is to find something that has a wide appeal for that general audiences that aren't cabaret lovers particularly could take an interest in and get behind, but still be sophisticated enough to meet the needs of culture.
The fine line between
art and commerce.
Commercial,
And your show, I think, it really achieves it. It's a very popularly appealing commercial show. Anybody could be a disgruntled husband could be dragged in by his wife and not want to be there and have the best time. And the most ferocious, arch-backed snob could go, wow, listen to this music, listen to her go, listen to him play. You know what I mean? It's very sophisticated.
It played very well in Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah.
And we
and
played
London.
Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Yeah.
And London. Well, I think that's the magic of Peggy too. She was accessible, but still, that word sophisticated again. She was challenged her audience musically. She was a fine musician. And you talk to anybody who worked with her, whatever they thought of her personally, everyone agrees that she was one of the best musicians who's ever been in pop music. So that's fun to play all audiences, because I've got Boggy Depot in me, and I love London
that.
too.
We're going to talk about Boggy Depot in just a second. I want to show one more clip. This is a media clip of yours, a media kit, and it's a compilation of a lot of the little stops along the way in your career. So I just wanted to share it as by way of background. Gabe.
as we worked our special magic with those chopsticks. You say potato, and I say potato. You say tomato, and I say tomato. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Let's call the whole thing off. Someone told me and hurt me, deceive me, desert me. I'm yours till I die. So in love, so in love, so in love with you, my love. Am It's coming on Christmas. They're cutting down trees. They're putting up reindeer and singing songs of joy and peace. Wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long I would teach my feet to fly. Wish I had a river I could skate away on. Carry me down to a river that's peaceful. Set me sailing and wish me Godspeed. And I'll find my way to the blue of the ocean. The wind and the water is all that I need. And a man with the heart of a little boy sailor to shift with the tide and come sailing with me. Then I will know if I'm floating or sinking, and I'll take my chances on the wind and the sea. I'll find my way on the wind and the
All right. So, I'm so interested in evolution. Here you are having a big success, and you've been at this for many years. So it's nice to see how every little step along the way adds up to what you bring to the stage now. I love that.
I think the key was, for me anyway, was that I have to sing.
Mm-hmm.
I have to perform. It's not even a choice. It's like water.
Mm-hmm.
So I sang at my local church in
Right.
Whittier, California. I was their musical director while the kids were little, because that I could do. I could leave them with Daddy on Sunday morning and go to work
Right.
singing, just doing it. That 10,000 hours, Malcolm Gladwell,
Right.
the theory of just doing it. And I think I'm just now getting to my 10,000 hours. It's taken me a long time to get it,
Yeah.
because I haven't had a lot of opportunities to perform as a mom. Being, I have a wonderful husband, but he had a solid job. So I was, in the Harbor Heights raising kids. And so what do? You sing at church, or time anyone got married or graduations and they ask me to sing, it's just yes.
Right.
Yes, because it adds to your experience. And
I hope you're listening out there, because that's the key.
doing it.
That is the key.
Yeah.
Right. So Stacy, I'm going to take just a couple minutes here and do my little commercial section. Actually, a very brief one today because I only have a couple things to tell the people about. But I do this. I call 1001 Cabarabia Nights to tell the people stuff I'm doing this month. Very few things. The year's getting a slow start, but next week, Thursday, February 27th, we have the next Beverly Mickens Party Pack, and it's going to be so fun. We have Janet S. Blake, Steve Robinson, and Mr. Michael Levine visiting from New York. Everybody's favorite musical director and sheet music maven is going to do a little performance for us. And on that very same night, we're going to show. They're having a film festival at the. I want to get the initials right. I never do it right. The TCL, it's called now. The TCL Chinese Theater. What used to be Grauman's, what used to be Mann's Chinese Theater is now the TCL Chinese Theaters. And there's a film festival there called Holly Shorts. And they are featuring my friend Mark Saltarelli's film starring Lee Merriweather, Susan Blakely, and Leanne Larkin called Remember to Breathe. And I have discussed this film a lot in this podcast. I've had everybody here talking about it, and I show the promo of it occasionally. It's the story of an aging chanteuse and a young singer who comes into her life and creates a moment of climax. And I want to share the promo with you and let you know that this coming Thursday, February 27th at the TLC Chinese Theaters, they will be showing it at the Holly Shorts Film Festival. So please check into hollyshorts.com and go see the film. It's so fabulous. It's a short, 20 minutes, but here's the demo.
You made me love you. I didn't want to do it. I don't believe you. Do it.
Again.
Alice Martin, you look like you're about to meet friends for cocktails at the Waldorf Astoria.
I never live in the past, dear. Do you know that my name was on both sides of the marquee on Broadway? My name was Alice Martin.
I'm not the real thing. She was the real thing.
You have to be able to sing anywhere, any place, and under any circumstance.
The important thing is that you're doing it. And what if she's better than you ever were?
Impossible. I was a star.
You made me love you. I didn't want to do it.
I loved you so much.
I didn't want to do it.
Why else would I still be here after all these years? Come on, sweetie. It's almost showtime.
Got the brand of kisses that I die for. You know you made
Last night was a momentary lapse.
love you.
Alice, give us some of that old magic.
Away.
I love that so much. Go away.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's
I wanna
really
see
excellent.
that.
And that young girl, Leanne Larkin, is in the Newberry Manilow Harmony.
She's wonderful.
Yeah. So that's Thursday, February 27th at TCL Chinese Theaters. Check it out. Now, Stacy, the seventh child of 8 children.
Yeah.
So let's go back to there. Let's talk about Oklahoma.
Wow.
You come from a very famous family and a big one.
Big
Big
family.
family.
My mom is a gifted artist. She wound up on the farm in Boggy Depot raising kids, and she never stopped singing. You know, she was the example of someone who just kept on doing it.
Right.
She put her 8th child into kindergarten and sat down and wrote an opera.
So Heather is
Heather's
younger
older
you?
than me.
Oh.
I have a little brother named Sean, who's
okay.
not a performer.
Oh, all right.
He's smart. My mom and dad used to look at each other when they would leave Los Angeles when a lot of us were out here performing. And my dad loved watching his kids perform more than life, more than breathing. And he would look at my mom and they'd get these big smiles on their faces and they'd say, "Honey, what did we do wrong?" But she wound up on the farm and then started making albums when I was in grade school.
Oh, yeah?
And had 10 of her songs published. And she's very successful in her own right. And then we started doing family concerts. But what's interesting about my family is that we're all soloists. There were no group numbers to speak of. And KT is a brilliant programmer, finding the right material for the right person. And she gave me these wonderful. I did Put Your Hand in the Hand. I think I was 5 years old, and she and Heather were doing doo wop wop in the back. It was just it was fun. I loved it. I loved doing it, and we all did, obviously, because we wound up making it our careers.
It's interesting, though, how each one of you inhabits a slightly different flavor. You know, to be sisters, and you can see the gene pool thread through you all, but you're all very different.
Very different. And I think
as performers, as humans.
I think it's a credit to my parents because they encouraged us to be ourselves. And I think that as parents, a lot of times the best thing you can do is just get out of the way and enable your kids to find the right instrument or do their own thing. But they really just wanted us to be happy. You know, they wanted us to do what we loved. And I think it was hard for me to find my niche because my brother's a country western singer, KT's a Broadway operatic kind of singer, Heather's rock and roll. We all did. My mother did gospel and art songs. She wrote some amazing things. But for me, it was I kind of found my way through Peggy because I tried a lot of different things. I got my degree in music, and I was singing opera. You know, I was at lyric colorature soprano in college, and thought that's where I'd wind up. And I remember thinking the audience was so small, people who appreciate opera, and I wanted to talk to every man. I wanted the farmer in North Dakota to be able to relate to my music, but also Clive Davis in London. I wanted him to appreciate what I was doing musically. You know, I love that really complex music.
An interesting thing, I think, from observation of your life and career is that, you know, so much of what we've referred to up till now has been that you were a California girl, that you've been, you know, but beyond growing up in Oklahoma, you've lived your adult life mostly in California. But I know the last few years you've been living in New York, and you're a bona fide New Yorker now. And I feel, once again, completely from observation, not through any kind of conversation with you, that's largely a part of your, because you are the toast of the town there. You're very, very, you know, just the fact that you were the one who opened the door at the Carlisle for the late night series at the Carlisle, which is a very hard room to get into, and they swung their door open for you. And
I went to New York when I was 7 years old, and I saw New York through the windows of the Vista Cruiser station wagon. We went as a family, and I remember thinking at that time, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to live. And New York City is the only place I ever wanted to live. I came to California after college because KT was living out here and offered me a place to stay while I did the American Center for Music Theater. Do you remember that? Paul Gleason?
Sure, of
At
course.
the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion?
Of course.
So I came out here for a 3-hour tour, you know, like a 3-month.
I can't imagine KT out here. She
was here for quite a while.
Really?
She did a lot of television and did very well.
She seems so New Yorky to me.
Well, she is very much New York. I'm another kind of New York.
Yeah.
But it was always where I wanted to be.
Right.
And a couple years ago, my children, who were both at UCLA, sat down and did an intervention because I was still staying home and cooking for them in Redondo Beach and.
Well, I have to make a little completely superficial side note that your stunningly gorgeous children, both of her children are so
Thank you.
Beautiful of face.
They are beautiful.
Both of them.
They have beautiful hearts. They're also extremely talented. My daughter is a dancer. She was on the UCLA dance team, one of the most elite dance teams in the world, probably. And she's a singer and an actress. They're both in the School of Theater, Film, and Television. And my son is acting now, and he's doing some great work. But most of all, they're really, really nice people.
Good.
They're the nice. They're
so
the best
they set you down for an intervention.
They did, and they said, "Mom, you've always wanted to live in New York. That's where you want to be. You need to go now." So the empty nest syndrome is basically they kicked me out and said, "You need to go."
So how long has it been now?
I've been there for almost 3 years, and luckily my husband landed a beautiful job as the executive director of the Gerald W. Lynch Theater at John Jay College. So we have, so we're living there in Midtown.
So has he always been in theater management? I know he used to run one of the main regional theaters in California.
I learned a lot from him. He said to me once, he was a presenter and a executive director of a theater in La Mirada, and he told me one time, he said, "Honey, I can't book you." He said, we book, in La Mirada, it's very commercial, and they only book big names. He goes, but I could book Peggy Lee.
Right.
So, he was very encouraging about me doing the Peggy Lee Show and also sticking with it. I think as cabaret artists, a lot of times we do a show, it gets a nice reception, and we move on to the next thing because we love change, we love growing, we love the material. And it's been a struggle for me to stick with something. But the response has been encouraging, so that's helped. And Peggy Lee's Family, like I said, that's been very helpful.
And it takes really a long time for a show
to cook,
to be seen by the world too. It's like you can be bored by it at whatever point. I'm not saying that you are, but you can be doing it for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and you haven't hit the tip of the iceberg of the concert scene or everybody seeing it. I had been
doing the show for about a year, and I felt myself because I wrote the show and I produced it, and it was I felt myself come to a wall creatively because I was just reciting it, and it was too many words. I'd overwritten it, and I worked with a wonderful director named Sandra Lee, and I started taking her acting class, and she started working with me daily, and she took my script and cut it in half, and I was saying twice as much since you saw it at Vitello's. And by going to class every week, I'm in her class every week in New York, I'm learning how to keep it fresh, and there's such a lesson in doing the same material, but creating it as if it was the first time you did it.
I just always, I know it's trite, but I just think about, how do you think Barbra Streisand feels singing People? And
she
yet
makes it fresh.
We need her to sing People.
Yeah, we need her to sing People.
I
would love it if someone needed me to sing something. And I would love to do this show. I think that's happening. This show is never boring for me. It's a challenge, and I just enjoy every minute. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah.
I've never felt that way about
which
anything.
leads us to, Gabe, will you hit us with that graphic one more time for the upcoming dates? This is, once again, Stacy Sullivan, a tribute to Miss Peggy Lee at the Metropolitan Room in New York. That's over in the Chelsea district. And you still have March 28th and April 26th there.
And I'm hoping to bring the Peggy Lee Show to Los Angeles in the weekend of the 8th, 9th, May 8th, 9th? Yeah, 10th and 11th.
You do it in the same sort of like repertory with the new thing you're trying?
Yeah, Boston Court is letting me do the new show there. And I've got the guys out here in L.A., Steve Doyle and John Weber.
Good.
I got to use that talent.
All right. God, I love it. So it's just unbelievable to me how quickly the time goes. We're done.
We're not done, are we?
We are 3 minutes away from being done.
Seriously?
It's unbelievable to me.
I could talk to you for another 10
I
hours.
know, let's do.
But I'd rather talk
we're
about
staying
you.
all night.
Let's talk about you, though.
All right. When I sing Peggy Lee songs, I like to bring a little something different to it.
Very different.
So what? Any final thoughts? Any goodbyes? Any
I really
final
appreciate
thoughts?
you having me here. I love talking about the show. I love doing the show, and I hope to be doing it for a very long time.
Yes, and it's happifying to me to be with you on so many levels. First of all, for me, as I've grown older, I think one of the things that I find the most interesting is to look for my peer group, the people I come up with, the people that have been around 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the tribe. And, that was us. We've been out. We know all the same people. We know all the same stories. And it's just very, very inspiring for me to see you hitting your streak and hitting a whole new chapter of, real true success at this stage of the game.
Best time.
And, and believe me, when I say the toast of New York, I don't want anybody to write that off as like bullshit, flattery or whatever, because New York is a very sophisticated scene, and the cabaret world is owned by New York, and New York. The people of New York are very talented and very smart and have seen everything and done everything, and they don't give it up to people easily, and they do not embrace outsiders very easily, and they don't put their stamp of endorsement on things very easily, and they really love you and have embraced you, and so I celebrate you for that success.
Thank you so much.
And it's so nice to see you being able to take it to London and North Dakota and Arkansas and wherever else, hopefully LA in May.
I'd love that.
And I guess that's it for now. Maybe we'll have to do part 2. Maybe we'll do part 2 in May.
Perfect.
And talk about your new one. Maybe we'll do
let's
that.
talk about you.
Oh, God. I don't know. We don't need to do that yet. But that's it. I'd like to thank the people that helped me do this show, Mr. Todd Murray. Mr. Todd Murray, our landlord here at Global Broadcasting. My absent associate producer, Trisha Trippett, and my beloved pal Cecilia, who's helping me out here today, Cecilia Rodriguez, and the operations manager of Global Voice Broadcasting, and my in-studio engineer, Gabe Harder. Thank you so much. See you next week.
So it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows?